Hello everyone. For this video, we're going to talk about how we can use one line of VBA code to achieve Open File Dialog functionality in Excel. The video is structured by starting with a demo. Then we will walk through the code line by line to explain how this is done. In the end, we will wrap it up with some pros and cons for this approach. Okay, now let's get started. Now let's look at this particular demo. This demo is relatively quite simple. What we have here is a button. When I click this button, will trigger the Open File Dialog being opened up, and then we will select a sample file. It will do something, basically iterate through the file, and then give a message box showing us what we read. Okay, so now let's do that. Click this button, then this is a sample file. So let's take a quick look. So this is a CSV file, which means common separated files. So what I have here in this particular CSV is very simple, 2 rows of data. Hello Excel VBA and 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is a file we're trying to open up. Then I click open. Okay, so you see that the message box popping up saying, hello, Excel VBA, okay. Then we iterate to the next line, 1, 2, 3, okay. So this is really it, really simple. Now let's take a look at what's really working under the hood at the code level. So now I click into Visual Basic, okay. When I click into Visual Basic, this is a subroutine called read file being triggered. Okay, so at the beginning of the video, I said this is a one-line code. Obviously, here we have a lot more, but the real code that triggered the Open File Dialog box, as you see just on the demo, is basically, as I said, this one line. So I think if you remove any other code from here, that will still work. Okay, so then how does this work is that we're using this application object and then call this particular open file name method. This particular object will trigger a file path being read, which we can declare as maybe as a string, or you can just declare as anything. And then depending on whether you select that file or not, it will, from the code I have here, will do different things. So if you don't select anything, this file name will be set to false. Then we will just say, okay, say the file not selected. Otherwise, and then we will end this routine if nothing worked. This is where we say end here, and then we go exit the routine. Okay, but if it is not false, okay, if it is not false, we show at the Excel on the demo to say it's file selected, and then this part of the block level code, which I wouldn't dive into detail, but in real simple terms, as you can probably guess it, is basically we have a file handler. This is to say this file handler to opening up inputs for the file we just opened up, okay? And then if we're not reading towards the end of the file, it will basically iterating through these data line by line, okay? Then once we read the first line of data, we use message box to print it out. So that's all it is, okay? So if you guys are interested in how we can read files in this VBA code, let me know in the comments below. I can do another video on this. Okay, so by now I pretty much talked about how the code works. Now let's talk about the pros and the cons of this particular approach. In my view, there are really only 2 points I can think of. First one we already touched on. It is really simple, one line of code. I think the second point is by comparing to another method of working with Excel. Um, as for some of you might know, there's another way we can basically automating by triggering opening up the Excel as it is, as we normally would do, and then work with that Excel by copying over the data from one opened up Excel or CSV file into the Excel we're interested in. But that approach has a limitation at the row counts. So basically, this is probably more of a problem in the old days where the Excel have a smaller row limitation. And then in that way, if you have a file that is have a rows of data exceeding the Excel limitation, then you're out of luck to work in that fashion by interacting that way. So this way, we don't have that limitation. So even for Excel of even for say let's say work with 10 gigabytes of CSV file, we can still do it. Okay, but bear in mind there will be a efficiency at consideration if you really want to pull off such a large volume of data using Excel, because my experience is that if you want to automate some of the workflow with a large amount of data, Excel may not be the best tools for you to use alone. Okay, then the final bit is on the cons of this particular approach. So if you browse through the internet, on the social media, you may see some other approach that is more complicated, I would say, or more sophisticated than this particular approach. But that's really the flip of the coin, right? The con of this approach, given its simplicity, means you can't work with multiple files at a time. So putting example, if you were to read, say, not only one, you want to be able to batch process a set of files at one go. This approach will not able to do that. So this is really the drawback of this particular approach. Okay, I think that's all for today's video. If you like the content, please give a thumbs up. And if you have any question, or if you like more videos like this, please let me know in the comments below. I'm quite happy to do more videos on Excel to share my experience and the know-how. Thank you.